Live from the table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Comedy, and also available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We also are up on YouTube, so you can see us as well as hear us, a multimedia feast for the ears and the eyes. Noam's not here today. He had to leave, but I'm here in the captain's chair, if you will, along with Dan Naturman, by the way, is my name. I'm here with Periel Aschenbrand. She's our producer. She does booking. She does, she's a little bit of everything. And we have Lenny Marcus joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming in. I assume you're on the schedule tonight.
I am on the schedule tonight.
That's how I tend to book it. You know, when I do shows wherein we book a comedian, I look at the schedule. I see who will be least inconvenienced because they're here anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems to make sense.
I always got to clear it with my wife to come early. That's a fun one.
Well, when's your spot tonight?
8:50.
So we'll be done. Oh, so that works out nice.
Yeah,
in other words, if you were on at 11,
no, bad.
Then there'd be a huge gaping hole between the podcast and your spot. And
nobody likes a gaping.
Nobody
hole.
likes a gaping hole.
A lot of people like a gaping hole.
In
Not
fact,
gaping.
somebody that wasn't even working tonight would probably be more likely to want to come down to do the podcast than somebody that's working late, such that there is a gaping hole.
There you go.
The gaping hole is the worst possible option.
You're going to have a gaping hole tomorrow.
Tomorrow I have a gaping hole because we're doing a special podcast at 3.
Oh.
And my spot is at like 9.
You got to go home.
I think at that point.
That doesn't make any
I think
sense
at
to
that
go
point.
home.
What do you mean?
Because he's going to go back
Well,
from
if it's
here
3,
to the Upper East Side.
I'll be done.
He'll be done at 4. He's at
4:30 at the latest. It's
Get
probably
home at 5:30, then turn around.
Well, I don't
3
think-
hours later, you can have dinner, you could shower.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go home. That's just too big a gaping hole. That's not a slit. That's not a that's a
It's
chasm.
annoying. It is to have to go.
Oh,
It's annoying, and I'm hoping that they cancel the show.
They're not going to cancel it.
I hope springs eternal.
It's not going to get canceled.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. Lenny and I are working together on my album. I mean,
how'd the second taping come out?
Second taping went well. So just to review, I'm taping an album, quote. It's not really an album. It's a bunch of shit I'm taping.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't say that
Why
on
do you
the
have
tape,
to
by
do
the way.
that?
I listened to the first one.
Well, we're not going to put that in there.
No, we're not. But I mean, it doesn't help the audience. I think you're not into it.
Okay, all right. Fair point. So I taped 2 sets.
Yeah.
And we'll call it an album, call it whatever you want to call it.
Call it an album.
And so hopefully they'll play it on Sirius. And I'm going through Lenny's production company because Lenny has a production company.
It's a record company. This is a record company. Yeah.
Now you're doing this. This is sort of a goodwill gesture. It's not a
big money making gesture.
Right.
But if I get 1,000 clients, it'll make a couple of bucks. Yeah, I'm not retiring off of this little venture, but it was to help comedians get stuff played on really serious radio because now you need a label. There was a whole thing. You used to be able to hand it to a guy yourself, all your tracks, and now.
So now you have a label.
I have a label to help.
Skinny Boy Productions.
Yeah, and I take very Skinny Boy Records. Skinny Boy Productions is my personal production company.
Okay.
For my loan out, if you need me as a comedian. But the Skinny Boy Records is. It's been great, like helping people find, get their stuff on there. And then also, oddly, to correct a wrong over the years, this, Dan, and you can speak to this pretty well. Comics have been, when we get something, we just sign paperwork. We just sign. You want to do a show, you just sign paperwork. Well, you give away a lot of rights to stuff at that. So, everything somebody's done. Like say you do Letterman, he can do whatever he wants with it. You don't really care. Or the Tonight Show, you don't care. It gets played on anywhere they want to play it. You're good because it's the Tonight Show. It's like Fallon introducing you or Leno introducing whatever it is. But there are other shows that we all have done. The Montreal Comedy Festival, the Live at Gotham, whatever. There's all those shows. They now have you signed a clause that's saying in perpetuity, all worldwide for end of time, you've given away audio rights to that. And they can play it wherever they want. So they've chopped it up and play it. They've put it on Sirius. So when I go looking for people's money, they, hey, do you have a bunch of tracks just, are playing on Sirius Radio, you don't even know. You didn't even know. So you need to go claim the money as the artist for that because you're not going to get any money as the owner for that. And so I claim that money for them, and it turns out to be a couple of shekels
Oh,
for
you're
every
doing
person.
God's
Yeah,
work.
there you go.
Wow,
You're doing God's
that's
work,
amazing.
Lenny.
Yes. So there's a bunch of stuff like that.
Thank God for Lenny Marcus. Somebody, and so I taped the 2 tapings.
Yeah.
The first, they both went well, but in both tapings, some jokes didn't work. Now, how important do you think it is to have laughter on the clip?
I think it's pretty important because the people listening to it, there's a party of like 3 or 4 people who listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they want to hear that. I think they don't need to do. You don't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be 7,000 people in an audience, but it's got to be clear. The audio's got to be amazing, and you want laughs on that. You want laughs.
So
Now, can you
if it's a 0, yeah, go re-record it.
Can he go?
Well, I can always
re-record?
just, if there's a joke that I really want in there, I can just do it on one of the regular shows.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
And ask for the audio.
Yes,
So the next step, Lenny, is
cutting it.
cutting it. So
You're gonna have to come to the studio.
I have come to you,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll do it together.
That's right.
I kind of know in my head the second show actually is
Is the
pretty
show.
good in and of itself, except there's a couple of jokes that didn't work, but they did work
on the first.
on the first show.
Fantastic. It's even better because I listened to pieces of the first show. I thought it was good. I went back to Liz. You did it in the same room, right?
Yes. Same.
Yeah, I went back to Liz and I said, "Can you just tweak the audio on him a little bit? I wanted to do a couple of audio testing tweakings for you," and they did. So I think it's going to sound even better.
Can you add laughter? Is that
You
possible?
can, but I mean, you can. That's
It doesn't
my
sound
answer.
good, or
No, it'll sound okay. Yeah, we'll take it.
because there's jokes that they always work, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, they didn't work.
Yeah.
Now, do you run it as an album then, right? That's how it plays. So
Well-
they're not cutting it up and
For Dan, you could cut it up a couple of ways, like wherever he's going to do it. For serious radio, you could make the album, but as far as like the intro track, when somebody goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Naturman," sometimes there's music behind it and stuff. I like picking up that's track 1, I would just say intro to whatever you want to call your album. And then track 2 picks it up with, so I was walking down the street. It's because in the car, these will be randomly played. They usually don't play in a row. When they play it they might for you play your whole album, soup to nuts, that's cool. You'll have that intro track. But in most cases, they're not going to put the intro track in rotation. So you just go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Naturman," and move on to the next. That won't get in rotation. When they play the album full, they'll play it, all the tracks in a row. But in rotation, it could be random. So track 7 could play. So you don't want to start off.
My jokes tend to be independent little self-contained
which is good.
I don't, it's not.
It's good for serious
You don't
radio.
need to know that my cousin Sheila came over for sex to hear about my sex ed teacher that showed us his cock.
so I have a couple of questions.
Those are independent.
Good choice.
They
example.
operate independently.
Now, a couple of questions. Number one, it's dirty, and it's fine that it's dirty.
Well, some of it's dirty, and if some of
There's multiple channels on Sirius Radio could go on. There's a Raw channel.
Mm-hmm.
Raw comedy.
That
That's
can go
where
on
we're
anything.
That's where we're on Raw comedy.
We're on Raw. Oh,
Yeah.
great! You could be on the Raw channel.
Used to
You
be
could-
Raw Dog.
Yes, you could play on the Pure channel, which is like it's got to be done with an 8-year-old in the car. That's the real general rule. So there's no, cursing. There's no content. The joke you just did, not making it.
An 8-year-old doesn't know what spooge is.
Yeah, but the people,
Driving the car, do.
That's right. The parents will call up and say, "What are you doing? I paid for this to be played in the car." Anyway, and then there's Kevin Hart channel. I don't know if you're getting on
I
that
don't
one.
think I will. Yeah.
You never
So
know.
will they cut it up so they'll put a clean joke on the
Yes.
Pure channel and what are you
But
calling the album?
Well, I don't know yet.
You could also double dip. Sometimes it'll play on
You
Pure
can.
and Raw. Yeah.
Live at the Cellar.
No.
So far,
So far, I like that.
30 years deep.
Now, are these completely
30 deep, because I don't want to age myself.
30 deep in a gaping hole.
gaping hole? That's gonna be mine. Are these totally different jokes than a little bit bananas?
No, not at all. Tony.
Not at,
No.
so why
A
wouldn't
lot
you
of
call it?
overlap.
Why wouldn't you call it a little bit bananas? Just out of curiosity, I'm not suggesting.
Well, a little bit bananas. That's the special I recorded in New Jersey.
Is that
I
on
don't know if
Sirius?
they. I don't,
Jokes have to be different, and they're gonna. You can't double dip the same joke on the.
yeah, but I don't know that they're gonna. That's
Oh.
Video.
Oh, that's different.
You
yeah.
know, and
Okay, so not a little bit bananas. So you need a new title for the album.
yeah. So I don't know what that's gonna be.
Okay.
Oh, well, whatever. you know,
But there's, I mean,
anything creative is fine with it. It's not a huge deal. It's going to play in the car, when you're driving in the car and you'll see
Yeah,
it.
no, it's important.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a big believer that a title is
There's a lot of lie from the Comedy Cellar, by the way.
right. You don't
Yeah,
want that.
if
That's
you can
not what
avoid
you
it.
want.
but does it matter what the title
No.
is?
No.
Okay. You heard it
Nope.
from the man himself.
I mean, it matters just insofar as like this is the title of the album, right?
Yeah, it's whatever.
Like you want a good title.
Whatever you want to make of it.
All right. Well, so we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
I like 30 years deep.
30 or just 30 deep,
30 deep.
30 deep's not bad.
and it's a little ambiguous, so I don't age myself
Yep.
necessarily. Something happened at the show that I did on Monday.
Okay.
That actually I wish Noam was here because I wanted to ask him about potentially. So this guy he's in the front row and he's got no socks on.
Okay.
And I went from one joke to another with no segue.
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, nice transition." And I said to him, "Oh, nice transition. You got some balls. Talk about nice transition. Your front row with no socks. There's no transition between your shoes and your leg." and it got a big laugh. But it seems to me that it's crowd work,
Yeah.
and it was funny, and a lot of people laughed.
Yeah.
And so I if no one were here, I might ask if he would post that on the Comedy Cellar feed.
Oh, that's
But he's not here. Or I could.
that's
Well, I
one
have
of those
news
things
for
you
you.
clip for your Instagram.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could do it myself.
Yeah.
I got to get the clip from Liz.
Right.
Wait,
but-
he doesn't actually have to be here for you to ask him that.
No, he doesn't. But it's fun to have that discussion
Yeah.
on the mic because it gives people insight into the back alley dealings, of the Comedy Cellar. But
I gotta say, Noam is the best when it comes to these albums here because you can ask for these tapes, and video and audio are excellent. And it does give him advertising because the Comedy Cellar marquee is in the back of you at all times. But it's really helpful as far as like audio and getting this done and for free. A lot of places are charging. A lot of places are taking. There are other comedy clubs in this town that are taking the owner's rights in perpetuity forever because you recorded in their place. So it's like Noam is doing
because of the Comedy Cellar name, you'll get an audience. I had this discussion last week. I said to Periel, most of the people in the audience don't know who I am. They were overflow.
Okay.
And Periel said to me, "That's not true." Well,
No, that's
Just a
not
little
what you
bit,
said.
right?
He said he was like that he was really nervous because he's like nobody was actually coming to see me. Like they don't care about me. They don't know who I am. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's ridiculous. Of course, people were coming to see.
There was
you.
definitely a handful of people.
a
there.
handful.
Yeah.
Because
don't
I
know.
was standing outside on Monday night before the show, and there was a line of people waiting to get in my show, and nobody said, "Damn, we can't wait to see it." So that's a pretty good indication that I was correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not. It's not like, oh, you're always negative, because I'm not negative, because I killed. So if I were negative, I wouldn't say I killed.
Well, I'm glad to hear
So
you
I-
say that.
I-
You weren't
I'm-
saying
I'm
I
real-
killed last week. Now you're saying it, and good.
Because I don't
You-
like the term "I killed."
Okay, well, you can say something else.
But
You can
I'm
say
trying to
it was
prove that I'm
great.
not negative. I think I did say it went very
You
well.
are negative. Now
And if I
you're
were
not
ne-
being negative.
No, I said last time it went very well.
Yeah, that's
This
good.
went even better.
I like to hear you
Great.
say that.
But realistically, they weren't there for me. You
I
know?
don't like it
and
when you
because
say things like, "Oh,"
And that's
the
why I was
album is
anxious.
throwing a bunch of shit together. I think that you need to give it the respect that it deserves.
well, anyway,
Yeah.
but because it was all overflow except for Dave Stone and his friends. You know Dave Stone?
No.
He comes here all the time. He's like a super comedy.
Oh,
Cellar
okay.
fan.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So he was here with his people that he.
And did he like it?
But yeah, of course.
Well, of
but
course.
but the rest was overflow.
Okay.
But at least we get overflow.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I'm
other
always-
clubs, if I did a show at another club, you might not get an audience.
Very true. No question. I mean, here, there's a lot of days that are just going to fill up whether you're the headliner or not the headliner.
Right.
Right? And that's what makes this place magic. You're going to get a pretty good tape. And the fact that you can deliver really helps. And again, the price is right. You walk out of there with a tape for no money, which where else can
And
you
you
do that?
you actually make money, right? Because no one gives you the cover.
He will, depending on there's certain situations on that.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm not getting paid?
No, you might get paid.
I love that you're doing this. This feels like what photographers started doing when, like, I don't know, 20 years ago, that like you used to take a photograph and then the person who was photographed had no rights and no claim to that picture. It feels like, and this happened to musicians also.
Music business is
So
awful. No, they don't have anything like this, and they should. I mean, there's a lot of in Congress right now. They're trying to change these laws, like Spotify. Did you see Weird Al's Yankovic's thing at the end of the year last year? He goes, "Thank you, He comes out on Instagram. Thank you, Spotify. I really want to thank you. Most spins I've ever had in my life on all my tracks, like 16 million spins. I made $64. They pay out like a quarter of a penny, and even less than that now. They fought to pay less than that, and they're unless you're one of the top 1%, they'll pay you a little more. But it's just most people are not making any money from
outrageous.
Spotify, all these things, and now people are like, why? Why does Sirius Radio pay this and Spotify doesn't? Because one's off of satellite and one's streaming. It's nonsense. So they're trying to change this actually in Congress.
So should I feel guilty? Last week we had on who do we had on was complaining about technology? Why am I blank?
John Haidt.
No. Our guest was complaining about technology.
Oh, Nathan
McIntosh.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we got into Spotify, but
We got into Spotify a little bit, but that's
but
not
a very
his
little
right,
bit.
yeah.
But he didn't talk much about it. But should I feel guilty? I mean, here I have this resource to listen to any song that has ever been created, produced, laid down. It's such a wonderful thing for the listener, and
Right.
it's $10 a month.
And who are you paying that $10 to?
Spotify.
Right. And the artist that you're listening to gets squadoosh. So, yeah,
Now-
I think you should feel a little guilty. I think, that's the way of the world,
Don't the artist has to
Terrible.
agree? Though,
I mean, I
right?
suppose once.
Well, yeah, I put it up. I realized after but it's exposure. Now, I've heard that word is the death
Yeah.
of that's like slowly I turn for
but
me. Because it's like, because over the years, all we've heard of this, Dan and I have heard this for going on 30 years, like
30
hey, yeah, exactly. 30 deep. It's exposure. They'll see you. Like, it's such a bunch of shit. Yeah. But the guy's running Spotify's on his yacht.
Right.
Thanks for your exposure. Appreciate it.
But the YouTube specials have done well for people. They're free specials that people have put up, and they've gotten 1 million views, and then people go on the
You
road.
can monetize that. Yeah. It's supposed to lead to sale. Now YouTube is a little better. For some reason, visual media does a little better with this,
I was watching the Netflix miniseries on Spotify, and I didn't see the whole thing, but I mean, the way that he pitched it was to the artists or to the labels is, hey, it's either us or these like LimeWire, those sites that used to give music away, people used to steal.
Steal it.
So in some sense, it was like in a sense.
Well, they could all start paying the artist.
Yeah, that sounds like a horrible explanation. That's like a rapist breaks into your house and he's like, "You're either gonna have sex with me or I'm gonna rape you."
Well, all right.
It's a great. Hey, she's a winner right there on that one.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but the artists are getting paid. Now,
I mean,
You are getting raped.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I mean, you're getting paid like a cent. It sounds like.
I don't know
Nothing.
the exact structure.
It's bad. So it's just Should you feel guilty? Probably.
Well, maybe I should then every now and again buy something on iTunes for $1.
Absolutely. If you have an artist that you really like, I'd say download from iTunes. Pays out a little more. But if they have a website, their own website, I would go to that band or whatever's website and buy their album. You probably can download it directly.
I ended up buying Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack because I wanted one song. And I figured I'm getting such a good deal on all the music in the world that I'll spring for this album to get the one song. That one song, because you have to buy the album. They don't they don't let you buy individual songs for the Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack. So there's a song by Don Henley called "Love Rules."
Right.
So I paid $10
I didn't
for that
realize
song.
you
Anyway.
were so ethical about this.
I wasn't. I said, should I feel guilty? I didn't say. I didn't say I do feel guilty, or I will feel guilty, or I'll do anything about it.
Right.
I said, should I feel guilty?
So this is like why it's so smart that like Louie has all of his stuff on his
own
website.
Yeah, he
Right.
doesn't need Hollywood. I mean, but the thing is, you got to lay out that money. So if I could, you have to also have that following. So if you're as big as Louie, all those people are doing that stuff now too, like Bill Burr and Nate Bargatze. If you have that much money, you should have your own website with your own download portal. Just get them all to go to your site. YouTube's a little different because, a lot of people can't afford that. So it's sort of like this joint venture. They do pay out something because of the ads. So it's not YouTube does not pay it out. The advertisers pay it out in some ways. So and advertisers, that's what they do. They pay money, so you.
But you
watch.
still have to lay it out. You just might get it back.
Yeah, I mean, special-wise, a lot of people pay for their
Yeah.
own specials. Yeah, sure. I mean, and that's a lot of money to make your own special. What's funny is Gnomes is this. That camera that plays at the underground, when you get those clips back, I don't know the difference between. Technically, the guy can run a camera there. Man, I don't know. Smoke machine, when they do a special down there, a smoke machine, they turn the lights on. It's almost uncomfortably weird. This is like, just turn that camera on. I'm not sure that you're getting any more bang for your buck than Gnome's camera.
Well, I see clips, by the way. I just saw Ray Allen just posted a clip where he's talking to an audience member, and it cuts to the audience.
Yeah, he's got 3-4 cameras in
Okay,
there.
so do I need for that joke, do you think I would need to see the guy with no shoes and socks?
No, but you have to, for some reason that was a 2-minute clip or something that you need like 2-minute clips roughly for Sirius. If
No,
was
this
too,
is just.
Oh, I know.
this
I'm just
is
saying.
for Instagram, yeah.
I'll go for each one.
Okay.
For Sirius, you have to hear what they're saying. So the person in a car has to hear the context.
Mm-hmm.
Also, with this, I'd say 2 things. It helps if you have the guy say it, and I've seen clips where they cut back. Yeah, that would be great. But if it's not there, as long as you're looking at the guy and he says it, you hear that clearly, you're good.
But also what they do now with clips is like they'll just put in a picture of a guy with no socks
That's true,
on
too.
Instagram, and that's like standard operating procedure also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not for clips. I think it's the Wild West. Yeah.
Especially when you're doing like crowd work like that.
Yeah, I don't typically do crowd work. Where the guy, he was doing crowd work. He was heckling. So, he brought me into the crowd work, which is not something I do.
Right.
Mostly because I don't have to do crowd work effectively, it's not generally enough to ask one question. Where are you from? I'm from Minneapolis. What do you do in Minneapolis? You have to ask, generally speaking, you're not going to get a joke from just where you're from.
Well,
so you have to ask what they do. And if that doesn't work, you have to say, and is that where you met your girlfriend? And you have to keep asking questions without kind of necessarily in order to do it most effectively. Because eventually you're going to hit something that works, hopefully.
Well, you shouldn't.
But that requires a level of confidence and comfort that I just don't have, even after 30 years deep.
Dan Naturman is not a crowd work guy.
No, I'm not a crowd work guy.
Well, you also
but
as known as a great writer, so that's the perfect crowd work. When you're talking along the way, you segue. He says something right there. It's minute, so like I call it minute crowd work. So if somebody says something about my joke, I'm locked and loaded because I have the next joke ready. You know what I mean? So I could always go back if whatever I say to him isn't stellar, but I'm in the
only reason I bring
of
up
the joke. Like, if you are going out of your way to say, where are you from? You don't have an act.
You told me.
That may well be, but a lot of people are getting a lot of hits from the where are you from.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I mean,
you
that's
could do
it's also
whole,
garbage.
I mean, you could do 30 minutes of just crowd work and not do any of your written material.
There are
if you
people
want.
doing crowd work specials now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. Whatever. They're good at it. They're quick off the cuff, whatever. They're making a special. It's just content. But in the perfect world, I mean, a lot of people, I don't know what 20-year-olds are going to see, but you can't watch a guy at Madison Square Garden do crowd work, can you?
No.
No.
But
I mean,
you can maybe get a following with crowd work, and then when you're at the Garden, you do your jokes.
Yeah,
I
but
guess, ideally.
Or
Most
you
people
don't
are
want-
one or the other.
Or you don't want to burn your material on Instagram.
Yeah, that's why people are doing that, but they're getting a bad sense of what goes on. Sam Morrill's got some great pieces of crowd work, but he does it at the end in a live show, and they call out stuff, and he gets 1 pot of gold after 10 questions. I mean, he's better than that, but it's like, okay, he's got his piece. And some people do it here. They'll light up the camera. They'll do 14 minutes. If they have 15-minute spot, 14 minutes in the last piece. Anybody have any questions? And you'll get your 1 piece of gold. And that's the one you post because you don't want to post and burn your material. But when they go to the show, if you think you're going to see an hour of this guy do that stand-up, that little crowd work thing, you should be sorely mistaken.
I wonder if anybody plants people in the audience so that they'll look like geniuses.
That
If
is
they
a
plant somebody
better
in the audience-
idea. You know what? That's a great idea, Dan.
Yeah, well, it seems obvious enough.
I'll be your guy. I'll wear like a weird mustache.
Yeah. Look at this guy with the mustache.
I'm not wearing any socks. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll just have another guy with no socks sit in the front row and say,
great.
"Nice transition."
Yeah.
And then I'll be even quicker with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
You
Well,
told
why
me
wouldn't?
many
Why
years
would
ago-
anybody not do that?
I don't-
If in
Nobody-
the new paradigm of putting crowd work on
Yeah,
Instagram,
no, you're right.
I
You're
don't know.
absolutely
You
right.
just invented this as far as I'm
Well, it
concerned.
seems obvious enough.
Listen, you
But-
told
but-
me many years
Yeah.
ago that I should never, or you should never talk to the
You
audience.
shouldn't.
You have no business. You said to me, you have no
No
business
business.
talking to the audience.
Yeah.
unless it's something that's going to get you to your next joke more quickly.
There you go. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what are we doing here? You know, did you get into the business to go, so where are you from? God, I don't care where anybody's from. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I don't. I do not care where that audience is from. Like, you know, unless they're heckling like crazy. Like, okay, what planet did you just land from that you think this is acceptable? But in here, especially at the Comedy Cellar, they will come over and tell you, please do not talk to don't feed the animals. Don't talk to the comic. You know, like, unless they're a crowd work guy and they know what they're doing, this little, you know, trying to make a clip. But yeah, there's no reason you came here to write jokes. Especially starting out. There's no reason you need to get as many jokes out as possible. Nobody's gonna pay you on the road or anywhere as a comedian for doing crowd work.
It's just that a seasoned comic that wants to not burn material but has jokes if he does get booked somewhere. I guess it could be. I don't know if the crowd work thing is played out by now. Like, people were getting a lot of hits with it. By now it might be, you know, it might be too late.
It definitely it puts eyeballs on. Hey, look at this guy. He's doing a piece of this. Let's watch his other clips. And then if you have a clip, I don't know.
Is it just since the invention of social media that you guys
of course.
started?
Yeah. I'm still not. I refuse to.
I'm still not doing crowd work. Yeah. But the crowd work was imposed on me. And I thought, well, maybe I'll post.
No, but I'm just wondering, like, when you guys were starting out.
A lot of it is because nobody wants to burn material, so they're doing crowd work.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody back then who decided, like, oh, I can't wait to do some crowd work. You know what I mean? The host did the crowd work. That was it. In fact, they would tell you, I think, back in the day at certain clubs, like, the host here does the crowd work. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to talk to them at all. You know, and it's to me, it's a sign of a crutch. I know a new comic when I see it. If he's rolling along with his jokes, and then especially if they're not going so well, it's like, okay, he gets frustrated. So where are you from? It's just he just got frustrated.
My only crowd work is when is not crowd work at all. It's like I have a joke about Canada, and I said, yeah, I was just in Canada. Anybody from Canada?
There you go, because you have the next joke.
Because I have the joke ready to go.
Exactly.
So if they say I'm from Canada. Yeah, I said, yeah, you know, no offense, but I didn't, you know, I got a bad vibe up there, and I do my joke.
Right.
If there's nobody from Canada, I'll say, you know, don't bother because I was just there. Whatever they say, unless they say nice transition, and then I have to do something about the guy's socks.
I don't even know what you're looking for, like anybody from Canada.
Because it makes it seem like more of a conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, what are they gonna say? I'm from Canada. Really? Where are you from in Canada? Unless you have like the Montreal thing, you break it to some French.
But I just think it just. My thought is that it includes them. It makes it interactive. It doesn't take up much time. It's just I was just in Canada. Usually, by the way, the Canadians will cheer. I don't have to ask who's from Canada because they'll whoop and holler. But
anybody whips and hollers when you say where you're from, like Canada, and then sometimes you'll go Canada and they'll go San Francisco, Cleveland. They start yelling out places they're from. Like, what are you doing? You just opened it up. Don't break that wall if you don't have to. That's my general.
Okay, well, we
thought
disagree slightly on that.
I mean, I don't. You're a seasoned professional, Dan. I see what you're doing. It's great, but I don't know what you're trying to get out of it other than.
What I'm trying to get out of it when I do it normally is just to make it seem like, hey, we're having a conversation. This is not quite the same thing as a play. There's some interaction. The Canadians get a kick out of it.
Do they?
I think so. They like to be included.
They're
not included in anything else. They were included. The Yalta Conference, we locked them out. Going back a few years.
I think
the NHL, they're included there, but not the NBA.
Okay.
The NBA, we don't include
them?
them?
Toronto.
One team?
Yeah.
One team, okay.
I think if you broke it to French, said something, they were like, what? We don't speak French. There's your opening to whatever it is. Or you have some kind of ploy with you if you're like from Canada.
Okay.
But obviously you have the joke and you could always go back.
Anyway,
so
the point being is that the only crowd work I typically do is A, when it's imposed on me by a heckler, B, when I have the joke locked and loaded. Anyway, let's move the conversation, if we could, to Lenny, more of a Lenny-focused discussion.
Ah, damn it.
Well, you started this.
Go ahead.
This production company.
Yes.
What else is new in the world of Lenny?
What's new?
Well, in the comedic world of Lenny, unless there's something going on with your marriage or your, which would be
everything's good, Dan. Everything's good on the home front.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I do a lot of different things during the day, as you know. I'm on the road with Leslie Jones, so we do that. When we're on hiatus now, the tour ended about a month and a half.
So you're her opener?
I'm her opener. I'm her writer. I'm her consigliere. I'm her
I just
right-hand
opened for
man.
Howie Mandel.
Yeah, how was that?
It was fun. We flew in a private jet to the gigs.
Yeah,
Which is, a treat, I guess.
yeah.
So the pilots
so.
came to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because Howie always invites the pilots to the
He's also from Canada, isn't he?
He is from
Yeah,
Toronto.
you got Howie, where you from?
I turn around and he's backstage. Anybody here from Canada? Howie, where are you from? So the pilots come to the show.
Yeah.
So I do a joke about
Pilots.
No, I do a joke about airlines, how you got to pay extra for everything. You got to pay to check your bag.
Right.
You got to pay to. I'm surprised I don't have a slot for your credit card where the oxygen mask comes down. This is not a joke I do in the city because for whatever reason I feel like airline jokes. Theoretically, you could have an amazing airline joke, but the subject is so well worn at this point that I feel it best to avoid it entirely, at least in the city.
Can I disagree with you a little?
You can. Certainly
I can because, I'll tell you what's well worn. Sex jokes
Yeah.
are well worn,
You're right,
but
you're right.
everybody's got them.
For some reason, airline jokes get like this, have this reputation.
Exactly.
It's undeserved.
You know what's funny about that? Somebody made rules.
Yeah.
Somebody said that, and then everybody just assumes these rules. You know what I mean? The one great thing about stand-up comedy, no rules. Right? There's no rules. You want to talk to the crowd and work. If it's funny, great. And you want to do jokes about people's socks, great. You want to do airline jokes, I don't care as long as it's not the same ones you've heard a million times or it's personal experience to you. I don't really they say is the worst thing I think ever. As I get older, I don't like. They always say, who
yeah.
the fuck?
Right.
Is
Like when
they?
people say, and what do they always say?
And what do they always
And-
say? Who's they? Who made these rules?
I mean, but I guess there are things that a lot of people do say, but sometimes the comic just makes it up. And what do they always say? And then says something that nobody ever said.
Yeah, that's at
And-
least funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I did the joke about that, and then the next day we get on the jet, and the pilot says, "Okay, just so you know, the oxygen mask we do charge."
Funny.
It was funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that happened.
That's a perfect guy when you do that joke. Get him as the plant.
Oh yeah.
I'm a pilot. I'm going to charge you for the oxygen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But then he gets the laugh.
Yeah. It's your
not
show.
me, and not me. And then at the end of the flight,
Take out your money right there. I'll pay it right
at
now.
the end, Howie does a ta-da, and
Yeah.
so at the end of the flight, the guy did a ta-da.
He did.
Yeah,
There you go.
the other pilot.
That's a big fan
Pilots
of
are real
yours.
jokesters.
These guys need to stick to flying. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear, especially on a private jet. Which
You want a pilot to be dead serious.
Yeah, I
Dead
do
serious?
not need you to tell jokes. I mean, he wants you to start going up there to the cockpit and start futzing around.
He can.
Well,
He can,
can.
actually.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I like how you said, "What's new in the world of Lenny?"
Yeah.
And then
And
you
then we-
launched
I-
into
yeah,
that.
I'm
and
good at spinning it right back.
boy,
to
that's
him.
so Dan Natterman, isn't it?
I love it. I love it.
Because I thought it was a good anecdote.
It is a good
But anyway,
I'm
so-
terrible at talking
So you're
about it.
opening. But how did the Leslie thing come about? She just saw you here?
Here, she was. The story goes back in she got SNL Saturday Night Live in 2014.
Oh my God, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh my
It's
God.
just- I
She
mean,
did about.
it-
She went to 2018, 14, 15, about
It's-
5 years on SNL, and then
it's shocking. It was how much time goes by. with it.
fast,
Yeah.
very fast. And in between, she bought a place in Manhattan, and then she wanted in the off season, which is like now for them, in May. They go back in October, so idle hands. So she decided to light her act back up. Every year, she would do that, but she would go down and do spots and disappear. I don't know what she was doing, but then the last couple of years, she would come in and try and do spots to just stay fresh. And then, we were sitting at the table one day, and we were watching the Yankees. As you know, Esty and I love the Yankees. And Leslie's like, I can get tickets to the Yankees. I'm like, I know those seats. It's Lorne Michaels' seats. He was there last night, as a matter of fact. He was right behind home plate. That's his seats. And I'm like, oh, I'll go to that. I've been watching people go to that for 30 years. The Yankees, please let me have those seats, So I'm like, sure, I'll go to the game. And she's like, all right, I'll call you. You're Ryan Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Really?
Yeah, he had been there and then went down to do his spot. And she's like, no, I'm Lenny. Oh, yeah, right. And so she goes, put me your number in my phone. And so I put her number. Do you think I ever think she's calling me for that? No. And then she texted me one day, you want to go to a game? It's an afternoon game. I was like, yeah. I took my friend Neil Potter, the great
Oh,
Neil
yeah,
Potter.
yeah. I haven't seen him in years.
And and we went to the game. We had a blast with her and her assistant, me, and then we had laughed the whole time we were there. Had a great time. And then when she came down here, again, to run spots, I figured I'd take a look. I've never seen her act. So I went down there to look at her act. And I was like, man, it's good, but she's got a lot of there's a lot of holes. So I wrote a couple notes down.
The theme of this episode.
Yeah, gaping holes.
Gaping holes.
There was some gaping holes. And there you go. If this episode isn't called Gaping Holes, I don't know
think
what
it should be.
Yeah, come on. So then she comes off, and I go, I got some notes if you want. I'm ready for the punch in the face because no, I don't like notes. You probably don't like notes. Nobody gives anybody notes really. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, really? So we go up. I give her notes. She goes, come on, I'll do it around the corner. I'm like, do it around the corner? You mean you're not going to think about them? No. She just memorized it and went around the corner to the other room. I think we started at the underground, then she went to the McDougal. And I'm sitting in the back going, oh, my God, how's this going to go? And she put I think I gave her 10 that she could remember. And I want to say 9 out of 10 blew the roof off. And I can't even do that for myself. What are the odds on that happening? None. So this was some kind of weird.
My ratio is far less than 9 out of 10.
Yeah, and me too. I'm 1 for 10.
Yeah, about
that night. I don't know if she had some, I just had a lot of caulk for that gaping hole. So anyway,
that's CAULK.
That's right, caulk. So she
good.
killed, and she comes off, and she's like, all right, who are you? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then it sort of happened. She would take me to another game. I'd come watch, give her a couple more notes. She'd text me, I'm going down. I'd give her a couple more notes. And then we did this, and then I don't know what was going behind the scenes in her world, but she turned to me one Yankees game and said, you want to come on the road? Open for me on the road. I'm like, I don't know. She goes, it pays this. I was like, I'll be there. And so, early 2018, we went to all those games, and this started July, August of 2017. And by 2018, she was like, hey, yeah, come with me. And then when I went with her, she tells it a little different than I tell it. She said, I watched her do an hour, and she's like, or an hour and 20, or maybe an hour and 25. She's like, after I did 20, she's like, what did you think? And I was like, yeah, that was interesting. And she's like, no, seriously, I want you to give it to me. And I was like, and I did. And I was like, well, that's the last I'll ever see of Leslie Jones. At least I got to sit in those seats. She was like, she loved it. She loved the candidness. And then I helped her, one of the things was like, where can I see your set list so I can go? And she's like, what's a set list? And I'm like, I'm sorry, the fucking Rolling Stones have a set list. I mean, what are you talking about? So we started with how to put the jokes in the right order. A lot, she had sex joke 1, sex joke 20 minutes in, sex joke. I'm like, put them all in one chunk at the end, anyway, it seems like comedy 101 to a lot of people, but it's for her, it was really helpful to discipline her. She's a bucking bronco. You got to kind of discipline her. And with letting her stay this artist, that she is crazy. So it's it's kind of, we give and take on it. And I just help her mold this hour. And she's like, I want you to help me write the hour. And then the next one was like, you want to go with me to the Olympics? Next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Pyongyang.
What sport does she do?
What?
What sport does
she do? Yeah. She's a javelin catcher. She took me to the Winter Olympics. That was ridiculous. And we're tweeting. I'm helping her write tweets for the Winter Olympics. And then everything she did, we'd go do commercials. She's like, I want you to help me write on this commercial. And then I would have to go rewrite the lines if she didn't want to say them. And I'd have to go see some writer there that they probably paid a lot of money for. I'm like, can she say this instead? Sweating, you know what I mean? And now I'm like, yeah, she's going to say this instead. But, that takes years. And so, yeah, she just takes me everywhere and dumps me in the pool. Next thing you know, she doesn't like the producers of Supermarket Sweep. You're the producer of Supermarket Sweep. You know what I mean? So it's and when I get there, they realize I could do all these jobs. So I could write it. I helped, I wrote most of that show, Supermarket Sweep. I helped her hire the people. I helped her produce the show, and I help the producers and the networks not get killed when she's in a mood. So she cares more than they do. That's the greatest thing about her. We all care. We want a good show. You ever go to a show and people are scattered all over them? Can't you move them down a little bit? I've done that before, and it's it's that in grand scale. It's no, can't we do it like this? I mean, that would help her. Can't you move the prompter 5 feet to the left so she could say, yes, we can. Oh, well, nobody even asked. So it's it's a lot of stuff to be an intermediary. And
And a consigliere.
And a consigliere, and like, what do you think of these people?
I mean, you're
screwing
everything
me?
but
yeah.
her. You could probably be your business manager too, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told you should do all that stuff, but she has people for that, which I like being the head of the creative department. Let's put it that way. And then with a little bleed, but the bleed can be really. I don't want to
I
step
said
on.
put her in Dogecoin. I made $200 this week in Dogecoin,
Yeah.
but I'll probably lose it next week.
I mean,
No, I don't have
Anyway.
any faith in crypto. In terms of I believe it's all bullshit. That's
Yeah.
what I believe. Other people disagree.
but why are you playing it?
Because I also believe you can make money from it.
All right.
And I don't want to be the one guy that's like everybody's driving around in their Rollses from Bitcoin, and I'm the only one that didn't do it. I mean, I guess everybody can't get rich because
Do you remember
that just
2000?
doesn't work that way. But like, it's worth it to me. I put 1,000 in Doge. That's nothing. It's worth it to me to lose the entire 1,000
Mhm.
to avoid the possibility that I could have made
I
100,000
see.
but didn't do it.
Hey, you have the money.
I mean, it's 1,000. It's, that's worth it to me. Even though I have no confidence that any of this is real, I think
Right.
it's all ridiculous.
That's what the lottery. You got to be in it to win it.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I've elected to be in it, Len.
Okay, it's fine.
Because I just can't. I don't want.
In it to win it.
FOMO.
Is a
That's
good
what it is.
title
FOMO.
for your album too.
In it
In
to
it
win.
to win it.
Okay. FOMO is what it is.
It's
FOMO.
one time there was this big lottery pool come out. Like it was like this big, whatever. It's one of those $1 billion draws, and everybody's running to buy tickets. When it gets crazy, you got to buy a ticket. My wife always like, go buy a ticket. I'm like, all right, I'll play this game with you, but it's ridiculous. The mathematically, as a math person, that's
Because
kind of
when
ridiculous.
I've played the lotto when it gets to like $1 billion, and then I look at I anxiously, because I'm all set to win big.
Yeah.
I look at my ticket
Yeah.
and not a
Not one.
single number.
That's what I
And
said.
then I said, this is stupid.
Well, I have a joke like that, like the people who, stuff hits me in the head all the time. A guy jumping off a building and landing on me in my neighborhood is way better odds.
Much better.
Yeah, than me hitting the one ball on the lottery. But
Crypto, I think is a lot better odds that you'll make money on crypto than in the lottery.
I think you have a better chance of going to every old lady bingo game and making money. But who knows? Maybe you'll get one. Stars will align for you. But I remember one time everybody was buying at the strip. Everybody was running across the street before the thing and buying the thing.
At the comic strip.
The comic
To be
strip.
clear for the audience.
The
that might
comic
not know.
strip or something. And then I remember everybody was buying like 10 numbers, 20 numbers. They're like, okay, you want in? And they're busting my balls. I'm like, all right, I want one set of numbers. I want one set. Why? I go, because the odds are astronomical as it is if I'm going to get crazy big, And so Tom Van Horn bought like 20 numbers or something. It cost him
20
like,
tickets, yeah.
yeah, whatever it is, $40. I
think
bought
it's-
one for $2, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
And he goes, if you fucking win,
Yeah.
he was legitimately mad. If you fucking win buying one ticket, I'm like, what is the matter with you? Like, you got another level of mental problems. If you're mad at me for winning with one ticket when you had to buy 20 to also not win a 1 in a billion lottery. Like, oh my God. It's just so
It seems
funny.
pretty unlikely.
It's very unlikely.
Yeah, you have a better chance of dying, not in a plane crash, but of a plane falling on you.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Literally true. Like, you have a better chance of dying in a plane crash, and you weren't on the plane. Then like every now and again, a plane hits somebody.
Do you do that? It's a funny premise. Yeah.
That's-
I don't know. I think
is
it's not even a premise.
that
I think I
is
read
funny.
that somewhere.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
And I mean, sometimes shit that's just real is funny. Even,
It
doesn't
is.
even have to be a joke.
That's very
Like when my joke about, everybody said that they're going to go to Canada if Trump is elected, and then Trump gets elected, and everybody's like, I ain't fucking going to Canada.
Yeah.
And that joke gets a big laugh, and it's not even a joke.
Yeah, because it's
All
true.
it is a
You know how many
statement.
people say that?
It's just
Everybody's
a
like, I'm
statement.
moving to Canada.
I just put a little panache in the punch, a little bit. But that's all it takes, and it gets a bigger laugh than many of my jokes that are actual jokes with punchlines. And
You're a hole filler.
it was a whole filler, but and then I say fucking because it's a little because I've tried to just. I am moving to Canada, and that works. But I try to be clean if I can, but sometimes that curse.
Naturman.
Yeah, sometimes
It's experience
you
of
need,
30 years, kids, if you're listening.
He's amazing.
Sometimes you just need that fucking in there. Otherwise,
in the gaping hole. Listen,
Yeah.
I just want to go on record here with the two of you and say I don't think that my in it to win it suggestion got nearly enough recognition. That's actually a good idea for a title for you.
in it to win it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I
But
don't
he-
think the title matters anyway.
does
Call
he
it
have a-
whatever.
You don't think so? I think so.
Does he have a reference in his act to the
But-
lottery?
Oh.
No, I don't know.
No.
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 Oh, I was thinking more like In It to Win It, like was similar to 30 Years Deep.
30 Deep.
Like,
30 years
and
deep.
to win it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know that it much matters the title, as I think we talked about that earlier, but call it whatever you want. You could call it, the citric acid cycle.
I don't agree.
like that too.
Something I
Nobody's
remember.
named their album that.
Something I remember from high school biology.
He's on the cover with
Sorry.
a bunch of beakers and stuff. I like it.
Hey, why not?
Why not? Do you remember long ago? Let me ask you something. Do you remember when we were all just sitting here at like 1:30 in the morning?
At the cellar.
Yeah, me, you, Ray, Judah. Who else was there? Russ Maneve. Can you grasp how long ago that is now? Does it drive you nuts?
Well, if Russ Maneve was in comedy, it had.
Well, I mean, it was like, this is so long ago. It's so long ago now. And there's nobody. We're the last. Two of us are like the last of the Mohicans here.
Well, what I've said about the Comedy Cellar is that when I started here in the 90s, there were no 40-year-olds working here.
Right.
Zero.
And
now about half the lineup is over 40.
But everybody was younger.
Everybody's younger.
I think it's not half the lineup anymore. I think it's going back to that. Those people either left, got out. There's very few people over. Like past the early show, I'll give you like Colin's still here, Norton's still here, you're still here, I'm still here. After those four, you'd be hard pressed to find 5 more guys.
How old is Sam Morril?
No.
He's not 40 yet?
The late 30s, I think.
Late 30s, okay. Even late 30s, by the way, was pushing it when we started.
Wow.
Yeah, people would get stuff then. I mean, it was like you could go to L.A. and
Laster is over 40, I think. Hamilton, Ryan Hamilton's over 40. Colin's over 40. Yamanika's over 40. I'm just looking at the schedule. Amin Amani's not 40. Dove is over 40. Emmy Blotnick is not over 40. Mike Yard is over 40. Marina, I'm not saying because she doesn't want me to say. She's under 40.
She's over 40. She'll be okay with being over 40.
Okay. Christy Stefano, he's probably 40.
They're probably all right. The next wave is. It's so funny that next wave, who was so young, is now all hitting 40. It's crazy, but they did well.
When I
They're
hit
doing
40, I thought it was old.
When do we get out? That's it. You know what I mean?
If you're lucky, you don't.
Yeah, you get out. I mean, it's how long before SD?
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Like when I'm
SD
70, I can't call in here and again when I'm 70.
Because it's going that way. Because there's people now hurtling towards 70.
Yeah.
Without mentioning any names.
Right.
They're not far away.
Right. Voss is 70.
He's not quite 70.
Oh,
he's getting there. Though.
But he's still, you know what I mean?
He's still
still doing it.
He's still doing it. So what's the alternative? I mean, if you have enough money, you can retire.
But why would you want to?
But why would you?
I don't know. It just seems.
Unless you just feel it's. Unless for some reason
you're talking to 20-year-olds in the crowd. You know, most of the
you might as well
crowds
come here and
after
do
like
a couple
10 o'clock, 20 years old.
You might as well come here and do a couple spots to supplement your Social Security income.
Yeah. Can I get it off the books? You know, and that's going to be the next thing. No one's going to have to pay everybody off the books to come down.
Why? Because if you can't get Social Security?
I don't know.
If you make a
what do I know? Let me get there first. I have no idea. But it just seems ridiculous that we're all going to we'll be in our 70s. I got a 9:15. Like, I got to go to sleep by 10. I mean,
the whole business is getting older. The same thing happened, though, with rock and roll. Rock and roll started in the 50s.
Yeah.
So when we were kids, nobody in rock and roll was more than 40. I mean, maybe like Fats Domino, those guys.
Yeah.
Were in their 40s, like when we were kids.
Oh, we were kids. I was going to the Catskills to see like Jackie Gale when I was up there, and he was in his probably 55.
Yeah, he wasn't even,
I'm older than what that guy is. You know,
right.
it's just,
older than
that the guy who I thought was ancient.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ancient. Like we'd see these guys. They're all in suits. Their hair's gray. I mean, people age differently now. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Yeah, obviously they didn't lift any weight, do any running or whatever. Smoke cigars. You know, Alan King was 100 when I was 10.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's probably 50.
Yeah. But now in rock,
yeah,
being 70 and like you could make the same point. Like, it's these guys. Somebody still be doing concerts at 70. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Mick Jagger's 80 and he's still doing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm like,
and Billy Joel's selling out the Garden every day. I mean,
well,
and
that
he's
whole
70 plus.
Well, we also came in this weird entertainment sector, like that kind of grew old together, like the height of entertainment. Now entertainment's so niche. You know what I mean? It's so niche. Like there's no Rolling Stone. What Taylor Swift is the only person. Are we all going? Is my kid going to see Taylor when she's 60? I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I love Taylor Swift.
Maybe.
I can't wait to see Taylor at the garden. She's doing a residency.
I don't know that your daughter's going to talk like that.
Probably not.
I mean, she's half Italian.
I'm going to fucking see Taylor Swift.
Yeah. And just throwing some music. I'm going to fucking see fucking Sugar and Taylor Swift. To combine the two heritages.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. It's the world's just going to keep changing oddly. I think now, entertainment wise, not the same. We grew up on television. I know everything. I was playing trivia the other night with some people, and I have this crazy vast array of stupid knowledge.
What kind of trivia?
Comics play trivia. There's a trivia game that happens every blue moon. Tony Deo put this together.
Wow, like
trivia.
Trivial Pursuit?
It's trivia. I can't explain it. It's an online. He started in the pandemic. He got everybody. It was really cool. He started everybody.
It's online.
He also got so good at this, putting people into break rooms and this whole thing. He does it with companies. If you want a company outing, they had all these people. It's amazing. He made a fortune.
Wow.
He can puts these trivia games together, and they're amazing. He's got sound. He's got music trivia on a block, and I mean it's all over general knowledge. There was a sports thing, and people are complaining. I don't know this sport. Other people complain. I don't know geography. Whatever. And they put teams together, and we play. But I mean my wife, who's younger, if she doesn't have like 90s hip hop, she's fucking worthless. I mean, we learned so much stuff from just watching TV, back in the day, and now they don't let the kids watch that much TV, or it's. Unless my daughter can answer all the Bluey questions if we had her in there.
Oh, the what questions?
Bluey.
What's Bluey?
It's a kids cartoon.
Okay.
But yeah, you grow whatever you have a certain range of pop culture that people know. But I think when you're like 50, you have a huge range now of, especially if you're still hip and who like Taylor Swift is. My parents, when they hit 50, didn't know shit about the odd cut. They didn't watch anything anymore. They didn't know anything. And I grew up with their music, which was like, William B. Williams and the Make Believe Ballroom. So I know, like, I got to like take the, immediately what all those
can't
songs
stand
are.
all that shit.
Yeah, a lot of people now you'd be like, what is that? That's Victrola to these kids. They don't know anything.
But I like a lot of the same music that my nieces and nephews like. It's. Because I think the change in music hasn't been as dramatic as the change was from our parents' era to our era. The change was much more drastic. From da 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 da
I don't know,
to rock is a lot more dramatic than from rock to Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's music could be, it's not that different from 80s pop.
I don't know. There's way less of it. Like if you think of all those bands who are still touring that you said are in their 80s, the Who, the Stones, Billy Joel, like that.
That kind of music
is gone. I mean, it's all hip hop. You got to rap on the track. There's still dance music or whatever, Dua Lipa and people like that. But there's so much less of that. There's more rap and hip hop, and it's varied. But I mean,
but I will still like the
moving.
Occasional Olivia Rodrigo. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Her music. Also, there's a lot of country going on now that I like. The country music is still alive
anywhere.
and kicking.
Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere.
And pop, rock like the Stones and the Who, that's dead and buried pretty much.
Yeah, it's niche. It's like I forget you go watch Saturday Night Live. Everybody knew the bands on Saturday Night Live. And then there was the punk scene was happening. Like I remember seeing the B-52s. I'm like, what is this? That was crazy. And it was like they had
rock.
But now all these people, same thing. They'll have weird bands that you'll never hear of again. And
this has been, I think, a very good episode. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, it's been fun.
I think it's been because I was a little worried because Noam's not here, and
Noam, I would have been knee deep in the Middle East at this point. Oh, God help me.
Yeah, well,
it was great.
We just did an episode with Noam before this, and it started off. I was really into it, and then it got very like Middle East, Ukraine.
Oh man!
And then I just
I
couldn't. My stamina just.
I think that what we started doing is a very good solution.
Well,
we started doing one political one.
Yeah.
And one
well, it's also better for
comedy.
Sirius because the Sirius plays us on rock comedy.
Yeah.
The comedy side, and I don't think people that listen to rock comedy want to hear an hour about Ukraine, but maybe they do.
I mean, some do, but some don't. But
I
now
can't imagine somebody tuning into the comedy channel that usually plays clips. They're in their car. They just want a couple laughs after a hard day, and they hear Noam.
And they see, the Comedy Cellar show. Honey, this is going to be great.
This is going to be great.
I was at the Comedy Cellar just last week. I saw the best show. I saw this guy.
Yeah.
He was, let's see what they have to say. And then they turn it-
Hamas.
and
Like,
then-
oh God.
Now
Kill me.
They will.
The
They would be happy to kill you.
Noam is the Henry Kissinger.
but
of our
Noam is
time.
excellent at that.
Of
That
course.
being said, Noam is excellent at what
Yeah,
he
he knows what
does.
he's talking about.
It's just misbranded.
I would like.
It's on the wrong channel.
It's on the wrong show.
Isn't there a political channel?
well, yeah, but I think that they run the ones that they
They-
feel like are,
oh,
you know,
semi-relevant.
yeah. I would just like to remind you, Lenny, if I may, Dan,
Sure.
take the wheel here for just a moment. That
Uh-oh.
no. It's you and I were speaking of knee deep, in pitching a
Yes.
television.
But you and
show.
Lenny, you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was literally about to get picked up, like 1,000%. And our meeting, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
at Comedy Central was on March 24th
Yep.
of 2020.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the pandemic.
Pandemic. And then by the time the smoke cleared, nobody worked there anymore that you knew, right?
That's right.
It's unbelievable.
It was a great
that's show
show.
business. But everybody has a story like that. They really do. They have a story like that. I remember
I don't know if
Robert.
everybody has a story like that.
I don't know. Robert Ross. Do you remember Robert Ross?
Oh, I haven't seen him in.
Robert. Yeah, I think he couldn't take it anymore after he was on Star Search,
Mhm.
and he gets to the finals of Star Search. And if you had a million comics, I wouldn't have picked Robert. Like, he's funny, but somehow he knocked off everybody he had to knock off. Gets to the finals of Star Search. He goes, right? He goes. He gets 4 stars. The other guy goes. He's halfway through his set. It's a 4-minute set. It's like, I'm watching this going, Robert Rothstein is going to win Star Search. And we interrupt this program for the Gulf War,
Oh.
right? And I'm not kidding.
Oh my
And
God.
Star Search didn't come back for like,
But which Gulf
3
War?
I want to say the second one. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have to be because
Yeah.
Robert's not that
Yeah.
old. But
So it's like, whatever, 2000. So, no, sorry, late 90s. So
What difference does it make?
it doesn't matter. So
the-
Robert Ross, so 3 months later, whatever, they decide, we can't come back yet. Everybody's still watching bombs go off every night on TV. And finally, Star Search is going to air. And the deal they made him was like, Robert could go again, or he could keep that set, and then the other guy could just do his set. So I think Robert elected to go again. And no matter what, they told him he was going to get 4 stars. No matter what happened, he wouldn't get any lower, but he could go higher. So he went again for their show. And then the other guy went back to LA and got everybody to work on his act with him. And he came out and beat Robert. The
Who
judge.
was that guy?
I don't remember the guy.
Wow.
I'm sure you could look it up.
You could look it up and beat that guy. And I was like, oh my God, that was heartbreaking to me. And I remember that I know a bunch of people had that story.
It was just so crazy. It was crazy.
It was
It was
crazy.
like literally.
We were
yeah.
supposed to do supermarket sweep and they were here. They were actually here. The producers came here to talk to Leslie, and then we were going to go there to do test shows. It was like 3 trips had been planned. So they were in the office, and the rumor of this was going around. Oh, they're talking about it. So they were happy to go back to LA. They were a little nervous at that point, and they did. They made it back to LA in one piece, and a week later, that was the end of supermarket sweep for a whole year. I had to sit, and we did it on Zoom. Everything was on Zoom. So all that big Hollywood stuff with me getting on the plane, going out there, rehearsals, the whole stuff,
Zoom.
coming back, it was all done on Zoom. We did like 32 weeks
Oh,
on Zoom of rehearsal. And somehow they had to figure out how to make it rehearsal on Zoom, make her a
it's
host.
insane.
Okay, that's
That's it.
about wraps it up for it. Thank you, Lenny, for stopping by.
That's how we wrap it up
And
with a
we-
pandemic.
Yes, we filled the hole, I think, nicely for you. And thank you, Periel. Thank you, Max Marcus. Podcast at ComedySour.com for comments, questions, and suggestions. Bye-bye.